Haydn basically invented the symphony. He's the person who really first brought it to life. There's an unbelievable intelligence and wit and fun and sudden pathos and sadness underneath it all. It's some of the most complete music that there is. I mean, for me, he's the greatest underrated composer there's ever been. And almost for any musician who loves to play, he's almost the most satisfying because he gives you absolutely everything. And there's the feeling that you're sitting opposite a recognizable person. From the time of Haydn, the symphony really grew up because suddenly it was about life and death and important things. It wasn't just a divertimento. And this is really true. The second movement of this symphony is one of his most profoundly moving melodies. And there's the feeling that something strange, some enormous explosion is going on in the distance underneath this. And he does something which had never been done before, which is that actually he reserved the trumpets and the timpani, his big guns, as it were, for a little way into this movement, so they don't play at all in the first movement. And people were still talking about this years later, this effect, this terrible shock when the music goes to nothing and suddenly there's this huge outburst. Now, of course, look, we're used to the music for Star Wars now, so maybe it doesn't make the same impact, but the way it suddenly stops and there's this enormous wah in the middle of it is still a shock. There's a wonderful quote. He said, "Oh, you can tell just from looking at my face that I'm a nice kind of person." And this is absolutely true of the music. It is a full human being with all the spirit and love and life. 88 and 90 are these very, very big symphonies in every way. And 89 is like something completely different. It's as though it's made out of glass. And although it also has a wonderful joke with the violins playing glissando endlessly, actually the whole thing is of a completely different type of spirit. It's much cooler than the other. And what's very interesting is how happy and interested the orchestra are to make the pieces entirely different and explore them in this way. Well, 92, the Oxford Symphony, this is another thing because this is real composition at its finest. Again, it starts so simply. There's the same chord played very quietly at the beginning. There's no announcement. It seems to come out of nothing, and the second bar opens up into this gigantic kind of vista of space. But it's a piece where he's taken very, very little material. It's as though he's decided to take a few words and make as many different sentences as he possibly can. It has a slow movement which seems as though in the middle it's going to prefigure the French Revolution. It's simply astonishing. It has the fastest last movement in any of his symphonies, with maybe the hardest second horn part in the whole world. In this time where he wrote the 5 symphonies, the Prince of Esterházy died. Now, the Prince of Esterházy had been Haydn's employer for so many years, and so many of his pieces had been written. 6 or 7 symphonies every year, 2 or 3 string quartets every year, at least 1 opera every year. Now, when the news came that Esterházy had died, the leading impresario and violinist in London, Salomon, simply went to see him and said, "Look, you have to come to London." And actually within 7 weeks of Esterházy's death, Haydn was there. One of the things he wanted to do was to write a special concerto for the great players there, friends he made. Salomon, who'd organized the concerts, who played the violin, oboe, bassoon, cello, extraordinary combination. And so he would make a kind of quartet concerto, something that really hadn't been done before. Every great composer took from this music, and I feel it's something that this particular orchestra do enormously well, not only because they're so technically kind of ludicrously gifted, but also because they have such a very particular type of sense of humor, and they have the type of drive and energy to deal with this. As it's clear, I mean, I'm crazy about this music. I'm very, very happy to be able to record it.